What is stroke? Why does it happen? What causes it? What are the risk factors that put you at risk of developing stroke? What to do when you get stroke? What will be the early signs of stroke? And what is the treatment for stroke? If you want to know answer of all these questions, then this video is for you. Hi, I'm Physio Meghna Dave. I'm the founder and CEO of HealthQ Rehab. I'm a neuro-rehabilitation physiotherapist, and my mission is to ensure that I can give you a very clear picture in terms of your well-being so that you can take care of your own health. So let's start with today's video where we are going to decode stroke. Friends, stroke is a neurological disorder. Here, due to vascular cause or is due to blood circulation impairment, your brain will go through damage. Majority of time, the damage that happens in the stroke to your brain is either from two sources. Source number one is an ischemic stroke, which is the most common source of stroke. Now, what do I mean by ischemia? Ischemia means lack of blood circulation. Now, you must have heard this term called blood clot. Yes. Now, when this blood clot happens in your brain, in any of the artery or vein, at that time, the blood flow to certain area of the brain will stop. And when that will stop, there will be damage to your brain and there will be cell death, which in medical term is called as neuronal death. And this leads to symptom of lack of function on the areas where this brain was controlling. The second reason why a stroke attack can happen is called as an hemorrhagic stroke. You must have heard this term called as brain hemorrhage. Yes, that's what it is. The arteries or veins in the brain gets ruptured and there is a blood flow that starts happening inside the brain, which leads to increased risk of blood clot formation, damaging your brain cells, leading to damage to your body functions. That's what stroke is all about. Now, the stroke is a condition that can be very mild and can go up to as severe as it can lead to your death. When the stroke is mild, you will have some symptoms, and with immediate action, your symptoms will be under control. You will be absolutely fine within 24 hours, and that time it would be called as transient ischemic attack. Whereas when the damage to the brain is very high, majority of your brain cells gets died, at that time you end up losing your life too. And everything in between can happen in your stroke attack depending on how severe was the damage to the brain. That's why stroke is third commonest cause of death that comes from brain lesions. In fact, 5.5 million deaths were reported in 1999 study by United States of America for worldwide prevalence. That's not all. 3.5 million people were ones who were surviving stroke and were living with certain kind of disability. So yes, stroke can give you disability, and that's why preventing stroke is one of the best way to ensure that you can have a better quality of life. So we understood that there are two types of stroke, hemorrhagic and ischemic. Now, what causes this stroke? Now, there are certain risk factors that puts you at risk of developing this stroke. These risk factors are divided in two parts again. Number one is non-modifiable risk factor, which means you cannot do technically anything about it. Versus there are some modifiable risk factors which you can take control of and can prevent your stroke attack. Let's first talk about the non-modifiable risk factors of stroke. The number one non-modifiable risk factor of stroke is your age itself. As you age, your risk of getting stroke attack increases. In fact, 69.2 years is an age which has been predicted for higher chance of developing stroke. That's not all. If you are in women, you have a higher chance of developing stroke attack versus a man. People who belong to the racial community or ethnicity which has got high consumption of high sugar, high carbohydrate diet are at risk of developing stroke attack. In fact, ethnicity and race who has higher prevalence of diabetes mellitus, hypertension, anxiety, stress, depression are at higher risk of developing stroke attack. In fact, heredity also has a role in your chances of getting stroke attack. If you have family history of stroke episodes, then you are likely to develop stroke attack as well. So these were some non-modifiable risk factors of stroke attack. Now let's talk about some modifiable risk factors of stroke attack. Number one is your hypertension. People who are chronically hypertensive are at higher risk of developing stroke attack. The second type of condition that puts you at risk of developing stroke attack is your diabetes mellitus. Well, India is the diabetes capital of the world, and that's why in India the risk of stroke is very high. If you reverse your diabetes, if you take care of your diabetes, then you also take care of prevention of stroke attack. Sedentary lifestyle is the third common trigger or cause for stroke attack. If you are someone who spend a lot of time sitting without enough physical activity and have got high level of emotional and mental stress, you are also at a higher risk of developing stroke attack. That's not all. Smoking, alcohol consumption, depression, anxiety are some other modifiable risk factors to prevent stroke episodes. So these are the risk factors that can give you stroke. But majority of time, it's not just one risk factor. It's a combination of 2 or 3 risk factors that club together and can give you stroke attack. The most common problem or damage that will happen into the brain that will give you problems with your body will be cell death. So this was about stroke problems or risk factors. Now let's understand what will happen in stroke. Now depending on the severity of stroke, you will have the symptoms. Now you have got this brain, and there are different areas in the brain which have different functions who are responsible for different tasks. For example, your front brain area is responsible for your physical abilities, for your ability to do physical function, physical movement. It's also responsible for your intellect, etc. Similarly, we have something called as parietal lobe, which is in the center of the brain. That is also called as a sensory motor cortex, which means it's responsible for capturing all the information from the body, capture all the senses information, process it and turn it into a command. Third is called as occipital lobe, which is the backside of your brain. It's majorly responsible for your vision, and when it gets damaged, it will impact your ability to see. We have other structure in the brain which is called as the temporal lobe, which is on the side, which is responsible for activities like hearing. That's not all. We have also structures in brain like cerebellum. We have something called as brainstem. We have something called as basal ganglia. We have something called as medulla. These are all different structures of the brain, and each structures have got unique abilities. They're responsible for unique tasks. And whenever there will be a damage to that particular area of the brain, that function will be impacted. That's why stroke patients can have varied symptoms. There could be people who will have one side full paralysis, versus there will be people who will have only paralysis on the hand. Versus you will see people with paralysis on the opposite side of the face too, all depending on which area of the brain was damaged. That's why when it comes to symptoms, the symptoms are majorly variable. But some common challenges or common symptoms that are present in stroke are: number 1 is lack of ability of functional movement or physical weakness of the muscles. Yes, the muscles gets weaker or sometimes they get paralyzed. The second problem would be the problem with tone of the muscle. Tone is the tension that is present in your muscle. Your muscles can be completely floppy, and as the condition progress, they can turn into spastic, which is very tight muscles. You can have problem with your bladder, bowel, you will have problem with your speech, you can have problem with your vision, you can have problem with your balance and coordination, you can have problem with your memory, you can have problem with the processing of information or cognition, all depending on which side of the brain or what structure of the brain was affected. And that's why the treatment of stroke is also variable on different individuals. Now let's understand first what will be the signs that you will get when you will be developing a stroke attack. These are called as early signs of stroke attack, and common acronym that is used for this is Be Fast. Now here I would like to address first FAST. What does that mean? So here F stands for face. You will observe when you are getting a stroke attack, your one side of the face will start getting weaker. You can check this by checking yourself in mirror. If you feel that your one side of the face is getting drooped down, then it's a red flag sign that you might be developing that early sign of stroke attack. The second stands for A, which is for your arms. Yes, just try to raise your arms up. If you're not able to raise both the arms up and one arm falls down, then also it's an early sign of stroke attack. The third is speech. If your speech starts getting slurred, then also it's a sign that you are developing stroke attack. Last is T. If all three above signs are positive, then don't waste your time. See a doctor, visit an emergency hospital room as soon as possible. Now let me talk about also the two other words which I spoke about, which was B and E, which stands for be fast, right? So B stands for balance. Yes, when you will get a stroke attack, could be a loss of balance. You might have a fall. And E stands for loss of vision. Yes, you might have complete loss of vision, or else you can have blurry vision. When all of these signs are present altogether, please identify that this is an early signs of stroke, and you should not wait, and you need to see your doctor as soon as possible. Now, what will happen once you reach to hospital? Now, once you reach to a hospital, when you suspect a stroke attack, the first thing that the doctor needs to do is to confirm the diagnosis. And to do that, lot of physical examination as well as investigative tests are done. Majorly, the doctor will check for your vision, your pulse level, your blood pressure, your vitals, etc. and will suggest certain tests which will include your ECG, your CT scan, your MRI scan. At the same time, they might go for other diagnostic tests as well. But these are some basic tests that they will definitely do to come to the conclusion of the diagnosis. Once the diagnosis is done, doctor has identified whether it's an ischemic stroke or is an hemorrhagic stroke. Based on that, the treatment is done. When it comes to management of any of the stroke attack, they're usually medical management. There's something called a surgical management, post which rehabilitation is done to ensure that you come back to your life as physically active as possible. The immediate treatment for stroke attack involves two types. Number one is the treatment for an ischemic stroke, and the second type will be the treatment for an hemorrhagic stroke. In the ischemic stroke, or is the stroke where there is a blockage of the blood vessels, in those scenarios, medications or therapy like intravenous thrombolysis, endovascular treatments, intra-arterial thrombolysis treatment, mechanical extraction of the blood clot or infarct, optimizing the blood pressure with the help of medication, lowering the blood glucose levels due to hyperglycemia with the help of medication, lowering the body temperature due to hyperthermia with the help of medication is done. When it comes to hemorrhagic stroke, blood pressure treatment, delivery of acute medications that will aim to reduce the hematoma formation, anticoagulation therapy, and surgical treatments are used. Now, once you are in hospital and you have been managed with the help of either of these procedures and medical management, and when you are out of risk of stroke attack and brain death and other complication, that's where it's time to do rehabilitation. Now, when it comes to stroke, as I said, majority of people who suffer from stroke are left with certain kind of disability or impairments, and this can impact your quality of life, your functional independence. And that's why rehabilitation plays a very crucial role. When it comes to rehabilitation, physiotherapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist, behavior therapist, counselor plays a very crucial role. When it comes to physiotherapy, the role of physiotherapy starts from the time when you are in ICU. Your physiotherapist will make sure that all the chest related or cardiovascular related complications are prevented. They will also ensure that all the joints are being mobilized so that you don't develop stiffness in the joints, you don't develop pain, you don't injure your joints while you are being transferred. Physiotherapy plays a very crucial role to help you to get out from that state of complete bedriddenness to being functionally active. And that's where physiotherapy is also done on stages, and the priority changes as you get better. Or the second important aspect of rehabilitation is occupational therapy, which majorly focuses on tasks of day-to-day activities. The day-to-day task that you very commonly do without any discomfort starts becoming difficult when you have a stroke attack. That's where role of occupational therapist come. They identify your roles, your activities of day-to-day life, and do the rehabilitation in a way where you can adopt and find adoption strategies to make sure that you are still able to do all those tasks as functionally independent as possible. When it comes to speech therapists, they work on your speech. Yes, sometimes in stroke, your ability to communicate gets affected. You can't coordinate or articulate right words and speak. You can't explain your words well. Your pitch, your tone, all of those can get affected. And that's where your speech therapist can help you. Speech therapy also varies on what stage of stroke you are. And that's why working with a group of professionals like this can help. Last but not the least, stroke is an emotionally burdening condition. It will not only burden you, but your family members or caregiver as well. And that's why you need help and guidance from a psychotherapist or as a counselor. And that's why counselor also plays a very crucial role when it comes to stroke management. So, in a nutshell, stroke is a condition that can impact your quality of life, that can make you disabled, that can limit your ability to move functionally, and it can sometimes lead to death as well. It's always better to prevent this condition versus curing it. There are certain identifiable risk factors which you can work on early on to ensure that you don't land up into stroke attack. And once you land up into stroke attack, identify the early signs, act as fast as possible so that minimum brain damage happens and you can get maximum recovery as possible. And once you are out of stroke, make sure to take the right rehabilitation treatment so that you can live a very active and very functional life. Remember, stroke is not the end of the life. In fact, it's a new beginning. You have to literally train your brain to walk back very similarly as you took your first steps. And rehabilitation professionals like us are there to help you out. So if you are someone who is suffering from stroke, or else if you are a caregiver of someone who is suffering from stroke and you need further help, you can reach out to us because our team of experts are there to help you. On that note, I'll end this video here and I'll see you in another video. Thank you.